Welcome to NeuroNoodle's Neurofeedback and Neuropsychology Podcast, featuring tech legend Jay Gunkelman. He's the man who has read well over 500,000 brain scans, and Dr. Marie Swingle, author of iMinds. Our goal is to provide information and promote options for better mental health. The NeuroNoodle Podcast is supported by listeners and businesses just like you.
Howdy.
Jay Gunkelman. Dr. Marie Swingle, long time no see.
Yeah, I have to give you a heads up, though. I'm going to be a quick hello, goodbye.
We take what we can get.
Okay. Yeah, getting ready for APB. Got to fly out soon, but I don't mind saying on the record, I think the true reason is I was taken out by an 88-year-old last night.
What?
Yeah, Dr. Swingle Sr. turned 88 last night. So we had
Happy birthday!
Yeah.
So I had sent a note to say hello for me.
I did. Don't worry. No, good times were had by all, but yeah.
Excellent.
Should we do a birthday wish right now, Dr. Marie?
Sure. I gave lots last night. So,
Dr. Marie, whose birthday are we celebrating?
Dr. Swingle Sr., Dr. Paul Swingle, turned 88 yesterday. Yeah.
Happy birthday,
Yeah.
Dr.
Yeah.
Swingle. Without him, we wouldn't have you, and we wouldn't have a show.
Flattery. Yeah.
So, Jay, last night, what's up with your purple juice, or should it be blue juice?
Well, Renita makes me drink each day, and it's blueberries and a bunch of other stuff. Flaxseed meal, God knows what all is in there. Coconut oil, beef bone broth. Anyway, she cooks up this stuff, and it tastes good. I drink it, so one of those a day.
Fair enough. So RFK Jr., he's really on that blue dye. Looks like he got something passed, and somebody posted something. They drank that blue dye and they checked the EEG and they saw a difference. Is that all hooey?
Well, you can't judge the effect of something on an N of 1, and you have to randomize blindly for the analysis time periods. But if it's done right, there may in fact be an effect. I mean, it is something that is prescribed for very limited problems, basically urinary tract pain. If you've got that, it's a valid prescription, and if you happen to overdose on cyanide and they catch you quick enough, you can use it for that. But the other uses are being touted currently. They do claim it has an anticonvulsant effect, but there's so many things that have an anticonvulsant effect, but they cause other problems. And they found the anticonvulsant effect in rats or something, So it isn't. I've been in the field 52 years, and I've seen 500,000 EEGs. I worked in a neurology office. I've worked with epileptologists and neurologists all this time. I've never, ever heard of it prescribed for epilepsy, ever. Now, there may be an experimental thing somewhere that's looking at it, but I have never heard of it. So, again, something being touted to have an anticonvulsant effect doesn't mean it's being used as an anticonvulsant. And again, you can find something in mice and rats, and it doesn't translate to people quite often.
Babies born without vitamin D deficiency are shown to have mental health problems. Jay, this just popped up on my screen right here. Is there anything that you can talk to regarding vitamin D in the brain or anything in the EEG?
Well, if you're born with a vitamin deficiency, you probably didn't have a mother who was paying attention to her diet. And that vitamin D may be the least of your concerns. You might have had thiamine deficiency and have neurological problems from that. B6 is essential for nervous system development. So, it as a marker for something that probably represents dietary insufficiency in some fashion, yeah. Vitamin D deficiency would be also potentially from the mother not getting sun exposure, not being active and out, and not eating right and not being active. Two things that are not good if you're pregnant. You need to get up and get moving and stay healthy and active.
Let's throw mood in there as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a huge one. And with the rise in postpartum depression, or we're not sure whether there's a rise in the awareness of it, whether there's a cultural component in terms of the value or perceived value and experience of motherhood, or, as Jay was saying, no sunlight, poor nutrition, low vitamin D. You're going to have some mood issues in there. Yeah. So big.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether we've moved on from the other thing. I don't know, just all these trends on this and that. I'm turning into an old conservative. I don't know, middle-aged conservative. Give me some credit.
Wait, what?
No, I mean, one thing.
Where were you 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Semantics, Jay, semantics. Yeah. No, I mean, we have to be really cautious of these big trends, and also, what kind of the end of one, what kind of equipment. Yeah, I don't think we should jump on any bandwagon recommending anything, and just to kind of there are other blue substances we put in our bodies to do many other things. So I'd be cautious. Yeah.
Blueberries.
Yeah, those are good ones. Yeah,
it's part of that purple drink that Renita makes me.
Yeah. Not the radioactive stuff,
Well, Dr. Marie, you are highly qualified to give us an Irish goodbye at any time, because you're ready to go on a plane, and we're just going to keep going here. Last night, Jay was brought up stress, cortisol, and you came up. If you don't have cortisol, does that mean you can't be stressed?
So, I don't have an HPA axis. The pituitary is gone. It was killed off 34 years ago by a brain tumor that they took. They took my face off, took the tumor out, put my face back on. HMO is nothing extra. They could have done something about the nose, So, but it's just a joke. I don't mind the nose. And having no HPA axis, I can't make cortisol. My adrenals are sitting there like ballast. They're useless. So I eat hydrocortisone. And if it weren't for the hydrocortisone, I would have been dead long ago. And if I don't stay on top of the right amount of it, I'll harm myself. There's steroids. When was the last time steroids are really good for you? I mean, you can take them you can take them in a circumstance to treat something on a temporary basis, but long-term steroids, I've been on them 34 years. So, the statement that once you're on long-term steroids at a stiff dose, and I'm on a stiff dose, it's enough to keep me alive. I'm supposed to be in a wheelchair. My bone density is supposed to have failed. When I was 65, I had the average bone density of a 30-year-old. I haven't had it tested since. So I take human growth hormone, and that I think counteracts the bone density loss from the steroids. But none of the research on steroids long term had anybody taking growth hormone to counteract it. So I'm juggling lots of different meds and trying to stay alive. I have been able to get the doctors to prescribe it for me, essentially PRN, which is, the neuroendocrinologist at first was very reluctant. Here's steroids, and they're very seductive. You would like to take more, but that you shouldn't take. You take as low a dose as you can get away with without allowing your immune system to kick up and kill you. So I couldn't give him a normal blood level. He was taking blood levels every other day. I drive over to Marin from Crockett, just across the bridge, and he'd draw some, and he couldn't get a normal level. But he was giving me a standard dose, and I was very compliant. But I was either traveling internationally to do lectures, or I was sitting in this chair, not moving, just doing reports, and if you're a pituitary, you'd be doing totally different things. If you were, you're about to get on an international flight and travel. That's a little bit of stress, and your body, if you don't balance it out with the proper amount of cortisol, would suffer the strain of that stress. So,
more so now than it used to be, Jay.
So, anyway, I told him I want to take it PRN and I'll give you normal blood levels. And he said, there's no way you can sense your cortisol level. I said, Doc, you're wrong. Absolutely wrong. Now, not many people could, but, I've led a fairly shall we say, active or crazy life, and I've done stuff to myself over the years. I've cut those 4 fingers off and had them put back on, and that's my good hand. Left hand is the wrist has had 6 surgeries to rebuild it, and they wanted to fuse it last time. It's just bone on bone, and they said it hurt too much. You want it fused. I said, well, I don't want to lose the range of motion, and it is bone on bone, and it hurts, but it hurt before. It doesn't change, and I don't mind pain. Pain is not a big deal for me. I broke my back twice. I have bad knees. I've got so much damage that if all of them hurt, I'm not on enough steroids. If none of them hurt, I'm on too much steroid. I have earned some damn pain from all this damage, and if I can't feel any of it, I know that I'm jacked up too high on cortisol. Because it drops, inflammatory stuff is just killed off by it. So
I could just put in Pete's condition here, which is only Jay can do this at home.
But then who else has no pituitary and and has a half an idea of all this damage and what the feeling it or not feeling it actually means. The average person who doesn't have a pituitary, if you're a female, 7 years is your 50% mortality morbidity statistic. If you're a male, 10 years. Apparently, you have more complex hormones.
No, really? Where do we get that idea?
So,
but good potential segue, just in terms of talking about anything, we can do working with the EEG that affects the cortisol, because I mean, boy, oh boy, we're all stressed out. Everybody's talking about adrenal fatigue and too much cortisol, all of these little catchphrases, et cetera, et cetera. But do you want to jump in and talk about that on the EEG? And I've got 3 minutes and then the Irish goodbye.
Absolutely.
So if you carry chronic overarousal patterns in the EEG, you're going to be stressing your HPA axis and jacking up your cortisol level. Chronic high levels of cortisol erode the hippocampus. You actually shrink the hippocampus. Now, that's not good. It's not just like you have a shrunken hippocampus, and that's it's something that you feel is atrophied or something. It's you lose memory function
Bingo.
with
Yeah.
hippocampus
Yeah.
and memory encoding and memory retrieval are impaired.
Mhm.
Um, so it's a bad thing to have chronic levels of stress. Now,
Yeah.
the EEG can show chronic levels of stress, and as an example, a chronic alcoholic
Mhm.
has an EEG pattern that indicates chronic stress.
Mhm.
The low voltage fast EEG is, very, very small, and is full of beta, and there's no real background alpha. And their gene number 4 produce so many GABA receptors that they're over aroused. They can't saturate enough of the receptors to drop their arousal level. At least they haven't learned how yet. And they learned how because they ran into beer, and beer gives you GABA, and it after 4 shots of alcohol, somebody that's got a low voltage fast EEG has alpha. So don't they're going to like to drink, and it's a
Mhm.
slippery slope. Now, nowadays, there's a lot of other things than alcohol that you can run into, but if you are a low voltage fast EEG, you will want to find something that drops your arousal level. You could have
Before we
very,
run
very
off,
fast
though,
alpha,
yeah, one of
or
the things I talked about, which I think is really, really important, that I don't know whether we call it an outlier. You probably won't call it an outlier, Jay, because you'll know exactly why. But please be very, very cautious when you see this pattern in typically younger females. Don't jump to chronic alcoholism. I mean, I don't want to be
yeah,
ageist.
yeah, yeah.
Some younger people can be that alcoholic, but we also see this picture in extreme trauma. So not one size fits all. Jay, do you want to speak a little bit to that? And then
Yeah,
I will do my Irish goodbye. But I think it's so important
yeah,
because, in terms of that denial, not denialism, but denying, oh, but I see this pattern, you have an alcohol issue.
yeah,
Not
yeah.
necessarily. Okay. Yeah.
Now, you can have a family history of alcoholism
Yeah. Yeah.
and be a teetotaler,
Mhm.
and never touch it because you saw it happen, and you don't want to have anything to do with that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean you're an alcoholic. It means you have an overarousal, and a chronic overarousal is going to get you long
Yeah.
term.
Yeah.
Beta spindling, also chronic overarousal,
Mhm.
quite often, as they see now, may be associated with long term motor uh, problems as well. You burn out not just the cortisol, but also dopamine regulatory systems for movement. And excess beta in Parkinsonism is something that they see. Anyway, if and there's low voltage fast, there's beta spindles, and there's fast alpha. Those 3 phenotypes are all overarousal phenotypes. So if you have one of those and you don't learn to control it, you're going to end up burning out your cortisol and burning out your hippocampi, and you can change that stuff. Just because it's your phenotype doesn't mean you can't optimize your function. If you have beta spindles, you can minimize them. If you have fast alpha, you can learn to slow it. If you have low voltage fast EEG with no alpha, you can learn alpha. And the people who learn alpha that have overarousal step away from the consumption of stuff to get it because they don't need to get it from something. They got it themselves. You don't have strings coming up behind you with some master puppeteer controlling what your brain is doing. You're in control, whether you realize it or not. Cut the imaginary strings, grab a hold of them yourself, and get to work. Neurofeedback, you can learn to control your EEG. In intractable epilepsy, where neurosurgery is the next step, we've seen intractable epilepsy stopped cold. So no meds, no seizures. This has been done repeatedly. So it isn't, if somebody can stop their intractable epilepsy, don't you think you can shift your mood or change your focus or attend better? I mean, there are lots of simple things to change that end up having marked improvements neurocognitively. So 30, 40 sessions. Geez, it's a small investment of time to end up with a long-term outcome. You've got a learning curve. At the end, you've got a skill. You know, therapy can be compared to learning how to ride a bike. My dad had to hold the seat and run behind me, and finally he could let go, and I wouldn't fall right over. Well, that's the end of therapy. You had somebody help and guide you, and I got a hell of a lot better after that. I learned how to jump curbs. I put cards in the spokes and made it sound like a little motorcycle. I'd go wheelies. I'd go no hands. So you get better
I
with
think
the
I'm gonna
skill
say
over time.
bye on the wheelies. So good seeing you both. We'll see you next time.
All right, Dr. Marie.
Bye.
Travel safely and say hello to everybody for me
Shall do.
in San
Shall do.
Diego. Bye
Okay.
bye.
Bye.
Hey everyone, if you're enjoying the show and want to help us keep it going, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Your support helps improve the content and brings on great guests and grow the show. Join us on Patreon at patreon.com/NeuroNoodle. But hey, if supporting financially isn't in the cards right now, no worries. You can still help us out for free by liking, subscribing, and sharing this episode. It really makes a difference and helps more people find the show. If we've earned it, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode.
APB, and I got a little video of a dinner of a bunch of folks. It looks like a gathering of pretty much folks I know. So it's tough not being able to travel. But
Can we say hello to them on the show by posting the video?
oh yeah,
Send
we
that
sure
to me
can.
later. Yeah, send that to me.
The group down there is going to end up having a little bit of promo for the Suisun Summit because I sent about 24 coins.
Oh.
For Renita handed them to Brian Milstead because he kind of knows who to hand them out to, except for one. I had one specifically given to Michelle Cunningham. So
you happen to have one to show?
Oh yeah. I got one here.
Yeah.
There's a vague likeness with the patch. My beard's a little bit longer right now and a lot more white. But the other side is a picture actually that APB had an artist make. They're doing a little thing about people in the field, and
that's awesome.
An artist touch them up, and it's surrounded by a chain on the outside rim, representing you have to connect up with people in this field. Nobody can understand it all. You can own a piece of the knowledge. No brain can hold the understanding of a brain within it, but a network of brains can understand a brain. So the chain on the outside is representative of that. So anyway, it's our co-host. Our co-host, yeah. Sky's saying good morning out the front door.
Hey, Sky. So the stress, a lot of things you can do for stress, right, Jay? I mean, start with the simple and work your way down. Simple is breathing, right? And what do
you? Heart rate variability is really useful, and pattern breathing, slowed pattern breathing, is very useful. There are lots of different subtle approaches to it, but I think Dr. Kazan out of Harvard has done a nice book on it and does workshops on it. But it's basically about 6 breaths in a minute. Different people have slightly different rates that might be optimal for them, but that basically ends up optimizing the speeding up and slowing down of the heart. As you inhale, there's a sympathetic arousal that speeds up the heart. And as you exhale, there's a parasympathetic increase that ends up slowing the heart. And that's sometimes referred to as a sinus bradycardia, the speeding up and slowing down based on your breathing. So it's a healthy thing. If you don't have any variability, your system is likely to fail. it's a predictor of imminent failure if you have no variability. In systems theory in general, too rigid a system it ends up being easily shattered with stress. They collapse. They don't. They don't flex. So the variability is resilience, and the EEG has the same phenomenon. Now, HRV is pattern breathing, and it's great for dropping your arousal level and anxiety. It's a great way to break away from a panic. If you're having anxiety and panic, there are biofeedback specialists that know HRV and have specialized equipment to actually measure the sympathetic and parasympathetic aspect of that with a spectrum analysis, and they can actually teach you to optimize your HRV. But independent of HRV, there's your body's eccrine sweat glands, your face, your hands, your feet, the palmar and plantar surfaces have a special kind of a sweat gland that's wired up to the sympathetic nervous system. So if you have a sympathetic arousal, you actually have an increase in the perspiration in your hands and your face and your feet. This isn't like temperature perspiration. This is nervous sweat. And that's picked up as galvanic skin response is the old term, GSR, but it's called electrodermal response, a little bit newer. But you basically can put a probe on two fingers. Some people have what looks like a mouse where you put your fingers on two metal pads. That's the Thought Technology has that as the GSR2. But they've got other devices that measure that same signal. And learning how to control your sympathetic nervous system is learning how to control the on switch or the arousal switch. And getting that dialed down ends up helping a great deal. And the electrodermal training is real simple. The devices are very inexpensive. I think the GSR2 sold over 1 million of those things over the years, and it's like $100 or so. It's not. This isn't something that's going to break you. But if you've got a sympathetic overarousal, it's a good way to learn very quickly. There are fancier things that are EEG based, but that's a much more complex system to understand. Yeah, obviously there are databases, but databases produce lots of data, and in this world, it's like a food pyramid. There's lots and lots and lots of data. There's not much knowledge and almost no wisdom. So if
like a cocktail party.
Yeah, yeah, well, sort of like that. Yeah, that's life. So, but if you're looking at the EEG, it requires a certain level of expertise above and beyond just pushing a button and getting a database printout. The interpretation of the data ends up being key, and quite often it's in the raw EEG. They call it raw. I mean, it's just EEG. You haven't done anything to rub it raw or anything. It's just fine. But the EEG is the waveforms, and if you know what you're looking at in the waveforms, all of this stuff in the waveforms goes into the QEEG, but the QEEG misses some of the things in the EEG waveforms. The spatial and temporal dynamics of it are averaged across time, so you lose that dynamic. And there's a big difference between a brain that's making alpha that's healthy and a brain that's making alpha in an alpha coma. Big difference. One is alive and the other one is likely not going to stay alive. The alpha coma augurs a grave prognosis. So
stress, if you got to have some kind of stress, right? Because your body's wired that way. You got to run away from that lion or tiger.
The problem isn't stress. The problem is strain. The problem is that's how you deal with the outside world's pressures. The stressors are enough to motivate you, but you have to know how to handle them, and you have to know how to let them go and dodge them and handle them and however you need to handle them. But you want to avoid the strain, not the stress. Stress gets you up and moving and keeps you from doing stupid shit. Well, apparently
Tries to.
sometimes it hasn't worked so well for me, but
Me
you
either.
know, you know, yeah, that's life. You have your moments of, you know, uh, yeah,
Of fun.
iffy decisions, So at
So
least I've caught a few of my crazy ones on film. Yeah, diving off a 75-foot cliff into glacial ice water in Glacier Park. Uh, I didn't know that there was a place there to dive from until I saw it the night before as I was washing dishes at the base, and I looked up and saw a couple of levels, and yeah, and I'm a swimmer, and I've dove off of things 20 foot or so before, but I saw this 75 footer, and I dreamt about it all night. I had to do it in the morning, so I got a they had 110 cameras, little things, little throwaway cameras. You'd send them in and they'd send you back the pictures, but they're all grainy. So they got a picture of me kind of grainy hanging up in the sky. And my friends are going through the picture book of pictures from the trip and they go right by that picture. And I flipped back to it. I said, well, what do you think of that picture? And they say, well, this not, they're trying to be nice, nice composition, the tree, the sky, and the eagle. I said, that's no eagle. Look carefully. I got cutoffs. There's a ponytail hanging off. I dove off of a cliff 75 feet into the ice water, and anyway, they couldn't believe that. Since then, apparently other people have jumped off that cliff. But I don't know if anybody's dove off of it. But I have a picture of somebody who jumped off of it. I got off online. Uh, you know, I couldn't
Is it
believe it.
possible to not have enough stress, Jay? I know it sounds crazy.
There are people that are stress seekers. Um, uh, One of my exes was an emergency room physician, and as she said, she didn't go to work unless there's lights and sirens. She did great under extreme stress. Adrenaline got her rolling, and she was good. You know, she went to a cardiac training. All these surgeons, and uh, uh, they're needing to learn how to do a crash physical massage of the heart. So you've got to split the person, crack the ribs, and get in there and do it. And here she's zip zop open and does it in like no time. And all these surgeons are going, and these nice little incisions, like though you'll be able to stitch this up, you won't even see the scar. You're going to die in the meantime. That she was in there in no time flat, and everybody else took 2-3 times more time. Uh, anyway, if you were needing ER care, she'd be the one you'd want to have.
Yeah.
She's passed, unfortunately. So a few years ago, I don't even know the circumstance, but
And then when you're too stressed, you can't sleep. And then you have MDs telling you to take gabapentin. That came up. What?
well, gabapentin is not a sleeping med. If you have peripheral neuropathy and you go to bed and your feet are tingling and painful, and no, Neurontin is good for that. Gabapentin is Neurontin,
Okay.
as a brand name, and gabapentin people might not recognize. But Neurontin is a common name for it. But they give gabapentin to dogs for nervousness. They give it to all sorts of things now. And for sleep, it's not really a good choice. It does strip away excitatory neurochemistry. It affects glutamate largely, but also norepinephrine. So it cuts down on fast activity in the EEG, which might make you, sleep better. But if you stop taking it, you have a rebound hyperexcitability, and that's not good. There are things you can take for sleep that don't have a rebound hyperexcitability, and in the meantime, you can learn how to sleep yourself by learning how to make enough SMR frequency at CZ to sleep spindle. That helps stabilize you to let you get more slow wave sleep. It allows your stage 2 to progress to slow wave sleep. If you don't have a good sleep spindle, you wake up from stage 2, and better for sleep stability as well. And trazodone can be given for sleep if your alpha's fast and you've got beta. And at that point, it doesn't mess up your sleep staging. It's not good long term, but there's no good long term sleep med. In fact, every sleep medication you find in their PDR will sell for short term use only. And if you read carefully on some of them, they say if you are on it for more than 4 weeks, you end up needing to be medically managed on your withdrawal. I've seen people given Klonopin as up to a 60-hour half-life. What you take today is still in you tomorrow and the next day and the day after, and you're ramping up and up and up and up. And as such, if you're 4 weeks in, you've got a huge load of it in you, and if you cut it suddenly, you'd have a rebound hyperexcitability, possibly even a seizure. So Klonopin was actually sued as a class action litigation for how difficult it is to withdraw from it. They didn't mention that, although apparently they knew about it. So, but it wasn't part of their advertising literature. Oh, by the way, this is hell on wheels to get off of, So.
Jay, what's going on in October? Let's celebrate a birthday.
Well, I'm gonna be 77. I'm getting old and crusty. The folks from around the world are gonna pop in here. We're gonna have a 3-day EEG party, Gunkelman's Island.
Arg, matey.
The staff's going to be in Hawaiian shirts. You step in, you'll get a lei as you come in. Come to Suisun and get laid, So
that just increased attendance by 50%. And you get one of those coins.
Yeah. You just need to see me, and you get a coin. And the EEG neuroscience that's being produced is world class. We've got people coming from Italy and Macedonia, and Santiago's actually going to make it in person. We weren't sure.
Okay, good.
But he'll be in Puerto Rico doing a workshop, and Puerto Rico to San Francisco is a domestic flight, so there's no
That's right.
customs people at the end to end up hassling him.
Unless it becomes another state.
Well, he's willing to pop in, and we'd really miss him. But we had agreed if needed we'd do Zoom.
Right.
And Silvana Markovska-Samoska from Macedonia. She's at the Macedonian Academy of Arts and Science. She was a student under Jordan Popjordanov, who taught me about quantum effects in the EEG. He was the head of quantum physics for the entire Soviet Union when it was intact as a union, but he was in Macedonia when everything broke up. So he was one of the heads of the academy. He's passed maybe a few years ago now, 4 or 5 years. But he actually had done the greenhouse gas offset calculations for the UN. He's one of the few people that did EEG and environment, like as my vocation and avocation, and he crossed paths on both of them. So that's not easy.
Well, where do we get all this stuff that we're just talking about? We do a Q&A every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. Everybody gets together, just like at the bar, and we talk neurofeedback, mental health. This stuff pops up. People ask questions. We answer them to the best of our abilities. And, of course, check with your primary care physician first.
And I admit, while those meetings are going on, I am drinking water.
Purple fluids.
Yeah, and I haven't had alcohol in 34 years. They told me at the time, you probably can't drink anymore. They said probably, goddammit. So I tried. It was a mistake. I tried a beer and I tried a glass of wine, and a glass of wine with dinner ruined a meal. And being sick for 2 days after a beer is not worth it. So,
not worth the price, Jay.
Yeah, I just quit entirely. And, even just a little bit of liqueur left in a dessert is enough to make me ill. So,
no booze. I got it. Fun birthday, Jay. Jay Gunkelman, thank you. Have a great weekend. Renita, have a good time. Not too much of a good time, though, young lady.
She's having a blast hanging out with her friends,
And then send me that video, Jay.
You got it.
All right, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Hey, everyone. If you're enjoying the show and want to help us keep it going, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Your support helps improve the content and brings on great guests and grow the show. Join us on Patreon at patreon.com/NeuroNoodle. But hey, if supporting financially isn't in the cards right now, no worries. You can still help us out for free by liking, subscribing, and sharing this episode. It really makes a difference and helps more people find the show. If we've earned it, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. The NeuroNoodle Podcast is supported by listeners and businesses just like you.